During President Biden's tenure, there were 14 nationwide injunctions. Did you denounce any of them?
I'm not denouncing any of these.
Did you believe any of them
injunctions.
should be reined in?
I haven't looked at the details of each one of the cases.
Fireworks at the Rules Committee in the House of Representatives. You saw there Democratic Congress member Joe Neguse cross-examining a MAGA Republican Congress member, Darrell Issa. Issa introduced legislation to, he says, rein in injunctions by federal judges. And there you saw Neguse pointing out that Issa was unconcerned about any injunctions when they were happening with Republican federal judges during the Biden administration. More on that in a moment. The fireworks didn't stop there. Earlier in the day, MAGA Republican Congress members were posting photographs of federal judges that they did not like and that Donald Trump's been attacking with wanted signs over the photographs of the judges, clearly creating threats to these judges, potentially encouraging people to harm these judges. Democratic Congress member McGovern, he pointed this out at the Rules Committee and said how MAGA Republican Congress member Ogles and others who are doing this, it's absolutely despicable and this should be condemned. Play this clip.
I do want to ask unanimous consent to insert in the record. This is one floor below my office, in front of Representative Ogles' office, wanted posters of judges. It says, known Get Trump judicial activists wanted. And this is the kind of stuff that some of us are asking there to be universal condemnation about. I mean, this is threatening to these judges. It has no place.
Now, I want to share with you the full exchange of Democratic Congress member Joe Neguse, who is a pro at this, cross-examined the MAGA Republican Congress member Darrell Issa. Now, you may be wondering, why is he questioning Issa? Well, in the Rules Committee, the members of Congress who are endorsing certain legislation, they actually sit as witnesses. Often they don't get sworn in as a matter of kind of collegiality, but they take the stand and they get questioned by other members about their legislation. So that's why he's questioning a MAGA Republican Congress member here. Watch this because you'll see how Democratic Congress member Joe Neguse cuts through the BS and cross-examines MAGA Republican Congress member Darrell Issa brilliantly. Here, play this clip.
Wait, that's a good way.
You seem very passionate about ending nationwide injunctions.
Not ending, reining in.
Fine. We'll use your word. You feel very passionate about reining in nationwide injunctions, right?
Unless they pertain to the plaintiffs before the judge.
You're putting a lot of disclaimers on it. I mean, you call this bill the No Rogue Rulings Act of 2025. I don't think I'm misstating your position that subject to the disclaimers that you provided, you believe that there should be reining in of nationwide injunctions, right? That's why you're here. That's why you're submitting this bill, right?
That's correct.
Okay. During President Biden's tenure, there were 14 nationwide injunctions. Did you denounce any of them?
I'm not denouncing any of these.
Did you believe any of them should be reined in?
I haven't looked at the details of each one of the cases, but
was there any that you made a public statement about?
Wait a second.
There were 14 of them.
To the extent that judges were ruling beyond the plaintiffs before them,
sure,
I hereby would say that they were wrong to do.
Okay.
The fact is, judges should represent a decision for the plaintiffs before them.
Your team may need to go online and delete some of the social media posts that you've previously posted, right? Are you familiar with a case called Missouri versus Biden?
I don't recall that.
This was a case regarding social media moderation by the administration.
Oh, sure.
Sure. And on July 5th of 2023, this is on Twitter or X, what it was called back then, you said here on your social media, quote, a federal judge is stopping the White House from colluding with big tech to censor your free speech on social media. Releasing this decision on Independence Day was right on target. Okay, this is your tweet, July 5th of 2023, celebrating a district court nationwide injunction against the Biden administration made by a district court judge in the Monroe Division of the Western District of Louisiana. You can understand why we would be very skeptical about the motives of our colleagues bringing this bill today, because they are disappointed and frustrated with decisions that have not gone in President Trump's favor when as recently as a year and a half ago. You and many other of our Republican colleagues were praising these nationwide injunctions, clamoring for more judges to issue nationwide injunctions. And now you've seen the light. Explain to me how that happens.
Since you've studied that one, did they rule beyond the plaintiff before them?
I believe so. It was a nationwide injunction. We'll get you the decision. If you want to parcel through, we can go through each of the 14 injunctions, nationwide injunctions.
That's why I made the list so
far
far of 17 of the decisions would have still stood under this bill.
We will go through. I can promise you, Mr. Issa, we've got a great team. They'll go through. They'll pull every nationwide injunction that was issued during the course of President Biden's time in the White House. I suspect we're not going to find any statements from you denouncing or disagreeing or believing that those nationwide injunctions, provided they meet the disclaimers you've stipulated to. I don't know. I mean, are you contending that was the case?
I think you'll find that some of those 14 would survive, a significant portion of them would survive under this legislation.
Sure, but the ones that wouldn't survive, you weren't taking issue with them in the past.
In fairness, every single one of them would still survive. They would simply be limited to the plaintiffs before the judge.
Mr. Issa, I would simply suggest, I know that, because I know Ranking Member Raskin real well, I know that he was disappointed when there were decisions made by federal judges issuing nationwide injunctions by virtue of the forum shopping that Republican attorneys generals had done during the course of the Biden administration. I suspect he was disappointed. What he didn't do was come before the Rules Committee and ask our committee to end nationwide injunctions as a matter of course in federal law. He didn't do that. Well, how do I know that? Because I'm on the Rules Committee. I was here during the course of the Biden administration. He wasn't here asking us to do that. So I would just implore you, and I know this is your legislation, so I suspect that perhaps this is a tougher request for me to make, but I would certainly implore my colleagues on this committee to reconsider their support for this legislation. I don't think that it's in the best interests of judicial economy or adherence to the rule of law. I get it. You're frustrated. I understand that temptation, but we don't respond by changing federal law so that judges can no longer provide the kind of equitable, inherent, and injunctive relief that they have provided since the inception of our republic. Ranking Member Raskin.
Now let me show you the longer exchange here of Democratic Congressmember McGovern. Play this clip.
I do want to ask unanimous consent to insert in the record. This is one floor below my office, in front of Representative Ogle's office. Wanted posters of judges. It says, "No, get Trump judicial activists wanted." And this is the kind of stuff that some of us are asking there to be universal condemnation about. I mean, this is threatening to these judges. It has no place in the halls of Congress. I ask unanimous consent to it.
Not only would we want that, but this committee has had a long history of providing security. We are currently redacting the addresses and other information. So the one place that you'll find we won't be in front of you except united is on the security of the judges.
Can we get some agreement that members who put these posters up in front of their offices will take them down?
I don't believe we should be putting up pictures of judges.
And I thank Mr. Issa for saying that. I would hope also that all of the calls to impeach judges because members disagree with their opinions should be retracted, or at least that should cease immediately, because that is creating the climate in which we should
all be able to condemn this.
I think everybody should condemn that. I'm glad to hear Mr. Issa agrees that should not be going up. But I think the whole thing about talking about impeaching judges who ruled in the birthright citizenship case or impeaching judges who are protecting our social security data is very dangerous. And look, Judge Boasberg's daughter has been the subject of an online campaign of vilification and intimidation. And Justice Barrett's sister got a
Thank you, Mr. Raskin. Yeah. Thank you very much. I want to say, but I believe for all Republicans, we do not condone any calls for violence against anyone. Anyone. We do not condone any calls for violence against anyone. Period.
Now, the MAGA Republicans on the committee, they tried to basically do the same, what you saw McGovern and Neguse do, but they weren't as good or nearly in the same league. For example, you have this MAGA Republican Congresswoman Fishback, and she tries to go after Democrats, and Democratic Congressmember Raskin and Democratic Congressmember McGovern really don't let her get away with it. Here, play this clip.
Mr. Raskin and Mr. McGovern have both talked about stopping the threats, take down the wanted posters. I would ask you to publicly then ask your side to stop threatening members of Congress. If you're concerned about threats, there are threats to Republican members of Congress from your side. Yes, there's wanted posters. I will get you copies of them because there's wanted posters of Republicans in their districts. And if you are concerned about threats, maybe we should talk about all the threats. There's one of our Republican members there's a guillotine set up in front of his office. You don't think that's a threat?
I haven't seen a guillotine since January 6, 2021.
It's my time, and there is one. And I am asking you both right now to publicly renounce, say, stop the threats against Republican members of Congress.
To the extent that's happening, I'm not aware of it. I would absolutely denounce and renounce any threats against any member of Congress.
Thank you. And I would hope that you would talk to your folks about stopping those threats because they are
real.
Me a
specific
we
example.
We have members who have to wear. Yes, it is about. They brought up the threats, ma'am.
Yeah.
This is and
Madam Chair, I'd like to say
it is my time.
Will you please
my
denounce
time.
Trump for sending a mob here on January 6th?
January 6th is not happening right now. The threats are happening.
Nobody
right
denounced
now.
that on your side.
And it's my time, ma'am, sir. But I would suggest that when you start talking about these threats,
Yes.
that you talk about both sides. And I suggest that you talk to your side because you have been talking about January 6th for a very
Will you
long
denounce
time.
the threats against the judges?
I don't think anyone should be threatened. I don't think there should be wanted posters out there. But these are serious. I mean,
I'm glad for that.
we have members who have to wear bulletproof vests because of the Democrats coming after them.
Well, but I've had
So I would
have several
suggest-
judicial restraining orders against people who have threatened me. So I can relate to what you're talking about.
Then you need
That-
to talk
that-
about all of them instead of sitting here in front of us saying that this is threats. And so I appreciate that you are going to denounce them
I'm
and you're going to
quoting the
work
Chief
with your
Justice of the
side.
United States of America who wrote about it in his annual report.
You talked about the threats. You brought it up. And they are serious against members of this body, Republican members of this body. And so I would appreciate it when you start talking about those things that you talk about both sides.
You're aware that Democrats have received those threats too. So
I recognize that all of us have.
then we should all denounce it. We should all work against it, not just in the legislative branch, but the judicial branch as well.
I think the threats and what has been going on to our Republican members of Congress in the last month or so is inexcusable. I mean, when they have the guillotine out in front, they're having to wear bulletproof vests because of the threats against them. I recognize there's other threats, but this is right now, this is coming from an organized group of Democrats who are doing this. Yes, it is. Okay.
Well,
it absolutely is. You can go on and look online because it's right there.
That could lead to
That is
something like
right there.
January 6th, where 140 of our officers were wounded and injured. And
I'm
we should
reclaiming
stop
my
it
time.
if that
I'm
exists.
reclaiming my time
Yes.
because I am talking about things that are happening right now that can be stopped. And with that, I yield my time.
Now, also on the Hill, we saw lots of MAGA Republican Congress members and senators justifying Donald Trump's tariff plans. For example, you had MAGA Republican Senator Tommy Tuberville of Alabama saying the American people want to feel pain. Short-term pain and suffering is going to be great. Play this clip.
This is one thing that President Trump has got to sell, but it's also going to work, but it's going to be a slow pain first before we get the gain. We have to get jobs back in this country. We have to get manufacturing to come back. We can't control that as a Senate. The one thing that we can control, as you said, we can control the tax cuts. We have to get those done, and we have to get it done this week. And we'll let President Trump do the tariffs. We do the tax cuts. get the debt limit put in with this reconciliation, fund the border wall, fund all the immigration processes going on. We have to get back to business up here. We've been dragging our feet, but I think with the tariffs this week and also the budget reconciliation that we'll do for the tax cuts, I think it's all going to come together. Hopefully one big, beautiful bill, Larry, but we'll see.
And then finally, you had MAGA Republican senators like Senator Houston of Ohio here being asked about Donald Trump saying he wants to have a third term in violation of the Constitution. In other words, become a dictator. Just watch how the MAGA Republicans try to justify this. Play this clip.
They'll be my priority at the same time that we're looking at how we rationalize the spending that's gotten so out of control post-COVID.
Senator, how do you feel about the president openly talking about a third term in the context of either changing the Constitution itself or potentially in the context of putting forth I don't know if it'd be a straw man, but, putting forth a Vance to then give him the presidency later?
The president was responding to a question. He wasn't advocating for that. And we all know that you would have to change the Constitution.
We haven't hit 100 days
that would be highly unlikely.
You're not going to talk about this for 3 years and 9 months, are you?
We may.
You might. All right, Senator Houston. Thank you. You remember? You like what? I can't say the tribe anymore for Cleveland. You like the Reds or the what is it? The Guardians. The Guardians. Yeah, I don't even know the name.
The Guardians Reds World Series is my dream. There you go.
And then who would you want to win that? Never mind.
I have to say, I'm an Indians fan.
What? Okay, well, all right.
I just want to see what your reaction would be, Joe.
All right, that's fine. All right, Senator, thanks, and hope to see you again soon.
Well, there you have it, folks. Let me know what you think. That's what went down on the Hill today. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 5 million subscribers, and thank you so much for watching.
Can't get enough Meidas? Check out the Meidas Plus Substack for ad-free articles, reports, podcasts, daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, and more. Sign up for free now at MeidasPlus.com.